Good morning, true crime friends. It's Friday. I'm so excited. Oh, I love a Friday. And one of my babies has a birthday today. He's turning 34. My teensy baby is now a big giant man. So listen, I was just sitting here watching other videos and like scrolling through the internet like you do when you get up in the morning. And I was like, oh, I haven't talked to my friends yet. Let me make this video and then take my behind over to the gym. So the Melly trial is back on Monday. Yay. And Brandy Churchwell, Brandy, hey girl, I hope you're enjoying your cruise. She's going to be back streaming Melly all day on Monday. So I can hardly wait. I hope she's nice and refreshed. But in the meantime, we keep an eyeball out on other cases. There's no new Rudy news, but I was looking at another case this morning, so I have to check and see if there's anything going on in the Rudy Fierris, the Rudy case. That missing dude who was missing for 7 years and now he's back. Turns out he wasn't really missing. But I've been paying attention to Miss Ashley Benefield. Now, do y'all know about Ashley? These damn dogs. Girls! They are fighting over a toy like they are wont to do. Girls, stop it. So look. This is being called the Black Swan murder case. Black Swan, you say? Well, yes. Black Swan was a movie a couple of years ago. I never saw it. I'm super not into ballet, all them point shoes, whatever. It's not my thing. So, Ashley was working at some political campaign down there in Florida, and she met this older man. She was about 25, young, beautiful, tall, like very curvaceous, whatever. She was a bikini model at one time. Okay, Miss Ashley. And she met an older man. He was in his 50s. So I was like, okay, old enough to be your daddy. Duly noted. He was 32 years older than her. So they met up at like some sort of political fundraiser or political situation. And love at first sight, lust at first sight, unclear. And they were just like, oh, I like you, you like me. Let's go on a date. So they decide to go on a date. Now, her husband, the man who became her husband, was a widower. Oh, I love a widower, especially if he was in a happy marriage. If he's bitter and mad, then leave them alone. But if he's a widower and he's just like looking for love, I think that is so sweet. Only here's the thing. First of all, he is not accused of killing his first wife, because had he killed his first wife, undateable. Write that down. If you're accused, if you're a person of interest, you are not dateable. But if she just died of natural causes and you can prove it and the police are not still looking at you for that murder, well then child, that is a man you need to go after. So she went after him, and 10 days after they met, they got married. That's the biggest red flag in the world. 10 days? Look, quiet as it's kept. One of my aunties married a man after only 3 days, but you ain't heard that from me. Anyway, 10 days after they met, they got married. I suspect it's so that they would not be fornicating, but come on now. So 10 days after they met, they get married, and they're just like, okay, we're gonna live happily ever after. Only they didn't. This gentleman had a daughter who was a teenager at the time of their marriage. They didn't tell the daughter. They didn't tell any family members. They didn't tell anybody. They just ran off and got married. Okay, sometimes that happens if you're in Las Vegas and you happen to be highly, highly intoxicated at the time. But to, in your right mind, 10 days after knowing somebody, go off and get married? Biggest red flag in the world. So they get married and they living together, and a couple of months goes by and they were like, oh, I really didn't know this person. This was kind of a bad idea. Word on the street is that the relationship was very, very super toxic. And so they kind of needed to stay away from each other. But they were kind of trying to work it out or whatever. And then she gets pregnant. Ma'am, you didn't know him that long. He's already crazy. The relationship is already toxic. And then you get pregnant? You know, there's stuff that stops that. Anyway, condoms. So, or pull out, whatever. So, they get pregnant and then they separate. She goes off to live with her mother. Signs that your girlfriend turned wife is maybe too young for you. if you in your 50s and she can still go live with her mama, she too young for you. Her mama need to be dead. Like, I'm not saying she should kill her mother. We don't advocate murder here at Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo. But what I'm saying is, if your 20-something-year-old girlfriend went off to live with her mama because y'all had a fight, that means she's too young for you. If you had a 50-year-old wife, then her mama's probably dead. So, okay, govern yourselves accordingly. Anyway, she goes off and lives with her mother while she's pregnant and has the baby and does not tell him. And then does not allow him to see the baby. Like, signs that the marriage is not going good. So she has the baby. She keeps the baby from him. Finally, he's able to see the baby. They start having conversations and they're like, you know what? Maybe we should get back together. Yeah, maybe we should. They're in talks. Yes, there was some domestic violence police calls to the house. More red flags. And so they're like, okay, we're going to start a new life together. We're going to move to Virginia, but we're going to live in separate houses while we try and work out our relationship. That is the first same thing I heard mentioned in this entire case, because the rest of it, to me, totally insane. So she's packing up all of her boxes because they're going to move. So he goes to the house to help her pack, and they get into a teensy little bit of an argument. And he shoves her, which I was like, he shoved her? And she shoots him dead. Seems like an overreaction to a shove, but I was not there. I do not know. So she runs over to the neighbor and she's like, call 911. I just shot my husband because he pushed me. So the police come out and they were like, I'm sorry, ma'am, what happened? He pushed you and you shot him dead? And she was like, there he is over there dead on the floor. So the cops look and they're like, oh, yeah, he's very dead. I mean, maybe they took him to the hospital to pronounce him, but ultimately he was dead. And then the cops were like, we're going to have a look around and see what's what. And then we'll decide what we're going to do. So a month later, she gets arrested. And she was like, oh, what you're not going to do is put me in jail because she's one of these girls who are too pretty for jail. Although she clearly has very bad judgment, at least when it comes to men. So then all the other stories start coming out. She's like, well, he tried to poison me. Girl, what? And then you had his baby? Okay. And, she's like, yeah, and there was that one time we got into an argument and he pulled out a gun and he fired a shot into the ceiling. What? Now, between me and you, that happened between my parents when I was a kid, which is why they were divorced, like a long time. I mean, also my father's dead, so it's not like he's going to be offended by this video. But yeah, that happened between my mom and daddy when I was a kid. And as a result, the ceiling in my mother's bedroom used to leak from the bullet hole. But you ain't heard that from me. Although my mother doesn't even know I have a YouTube channel. So my cousin who watches this channel, keep your mouth closed. Anyway, although my mother knows that's why the ceiling used to leak. We all know. Anyway. So this dude reportedly fired a gun. And so she was like, I was in fear for my life. And I was like, okay. So I can see why she shot him if he has a history of loose gunplay. So it works its way through the courts. The baby daughter that she wouldn't let the man see is now 5. So this case has taken a while to wind its way through the courts. And I'm like, okay, let's see where this goes. So there's a hearing where she's like, Your Honor, he tried to shoot me this one time. He also tried to poison me. So this is like a self-defense case. And the judge listened to all the testimony. Ooh, chow. I wish I could see that testimony. Because apparently the judge was like, oh, ma'am, you a lying sack of sugar. Everything you said is nonsensical. None of this makes sense. And I was like, really? What exactly did she say? How did she say it? Can we get tone of voice? Is there a playback? Was law and crime there? Tell me everything. So since the poisoning thing, like the he tried to poison me situation, didn't work out for her, now she's in court on a stand your ground trial. And they were showing it yesterday on Law and Order, but it only had like 200 live views. And I was like, this case is interesting to me. Yes, it's just a hearing. It's supposed to last 2 days. Yesterday was day 1. I imagine today is day 2. Is the judge going to have a verdict at the end of it? Is he going to tell us if this is a stand your ground case or not? I'm nosy and I'm all over it. So listen, I do not believe in domestic violence. I do not advocate for domestic violence, although who does? I do believe that we should listen to people who say they are victims. I don't think we should believe them right off the bat. I think we should listen and weigh the evidence and then make a smart decision. A little while ago, there was this whole movement like, believe all women. And I'm like, no. listen to women who say they are victims, and then weigh the evidence and hear both sides and whatever. Now, if he was legitimately shooting at her and beating her behind or whatever, well, then that is a public service homicide. Even though we're not supposed to have public service homicides, sometimes a homicide happens to be a public service homicide. And what you gonna do about that? Nothing. So, we're going to see where this stand your ground case comes out, but I am riveted. This woman is still very young. She's like 29, 30 now, but she's in there. She's all studious. She has glasses. She looks very serious. I believe she's also on an ankle monitor because this was her first killation. She only got like $100,000 bond, which means you could put down 10%. So $10,000, she might have had that rattling around. And this case is big news, I believe, in Virginia. I mean, it's big news in Florida because that's the stand your ground state. But it's big news down there in Virginia because she used to be a ballerina, and her very wealthy husband, oh yeah, he was wealthy. Shocker. Had started a ballet company, and she's like, I want a ballet company for all the outsiders. They were like, here's the news report. We want a ballet company that has tall girls and short girls. We want diversity. That's not diversity. That's height diversity, I guess, but that's not diversity. The other thing that was very interesting to me was his friends and family were up there, and they were like, yes, he was a good man. We loved him. We can't believe that she did this terrible thing. And so the reporter was like, what about the time that he shot at her? And they were like, yeah, he fired a gun at her, but he was very, very sorry afterwards. Friends and family, I'm gonna need you to examine that comment because, it is wrong to fire guns at people. Listen, I'm going to do you one better. It's wrong to get so mad that you pick up a gun in anger at another human being. Now, if you pick up a gun in defense, in self-defense, fine, that makes sense. If you pick up a gun because, oh, look, there's a deer, we about to have dinner, great, go hunting, have a good time. But you got mad and you picked up a gun? I don't even care what happened after that. You all the way wrong. So don't get up on my TV and be like, it was just like a light shootation. No. That's not stand your ground. That's not self-defense. That's crazy. And she was within her rights to get out of there. But maybe she's garbage too. Are they both garbage? They might both be garbage. I don't know. I'm looking at the judgment of both these people. Get married after 10 days. Now listen, I know a bunch of y'all gonna show up in my comments like, I got married after only 2 days, and that was 1,000 years ago, and we're happily married with our 65 kids and our 75 grandchildren. Great, good for you. But generally speaking, marrying a man that you only know for 10 days and you don't tell none of your family, and he has a child and y'all don't bother to tell his teenage daughter, you know how teenage girls are? What? Listen, y'all was wrong from the start. Maybe it was lust. Maybe it was love. Yes, she used to be a bikini model. And you sitting here thinking, oh, look at me with all my great pubes. And this cute young thing wants me. Bro, you was rich. That's probably what attracted her. And she was thin and beautiful and tall and whatever, graceful. And that's what, I see where that was going. Y'all met at Mar-a-Lago or whatever. Okay, no shade to Mar-a-Lago, exactly. But we're not here to talk about politics. We're here to talk about people with bad judgment, because that's what we do over here at the Gossip Rumor and the Innuendo. So I'm going to be following this case. Part 2 is happening today, and I will be breathlessly following every bit of it. Now, if the judge says, yes, this was a legitimate stand your ground case, AKA she could shoot him if she wanted to, then I think the case goes away after that. Because if you're standing your ground, then you were not breaking the law. But if you just shot him because he made you mad, well then that's not a thing. Well, that is a thing, but you go to jail for that thing. So we gonna see how this goes. Okay, friends, again, I gotta go to the gym. I gotta figure out what snapped case I'm doing for true crime at lunchtime. In the meantime, you have a great, safe day. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and I will talk to you soon.